All right, hello and welcome back to the channel. Um, Today, special day, sort of a special day. I've heard about this um, attempt to, you know, um, trend certain things about Zack Snyder and the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, DC, Man of Steel, stuff like that. I do want to talk about a little bit of it. I'm gonna go through some stuff. Let's go first to what has kind of happened lately. I'm not posting a bunch of videos about all this stuff, but Zack Snyder's coming out on it. Well, he joined Instagram some little time ago. This picture here is, and forgive me, I'm kind of going to go back and forth where I can't see um, my preview or anything, and just kind of looking at stuff. So, but anyway, the caption for this Batman picture is "Thank you for 300,000 followers. It's been a fun 6 weeks on here, and I'm just getting started. Shot this on my, believe that is Leica monochrome with a 50 millimeter. More to come. If I mispronounce any of the technical terms for cameras and things like that, please forgive me. Um, and maybe let me know. Comment something, whatever you can do to let me know. I'd be happy to do. But this is a really cool picture, and I'm not sure whether or not you could see me circle that with my mouse. I'm pretty sure you did. But this is from the first release picture, which he also posted. So if we were to go back, nope, that's going forward several days. He posted Aquaman there, which Jason Momoa, Pride of Gypsies, posted this on Veterans Day. This says 5 days ago, and I don't remember precisely. So, again, forgive me. I think that's right, but anyway, um, I'm not gonna comment a lot about this stuff. And again, forgive me. I'm just kind of skipping through it. Now that right there, if you don't know, this um, this gentleman here is was or was uh, and is named as Stunt Batman, and the other is Mike Justice. Now I'm not sure what all Mike Justice uh, has done or how he's involved. I'm not familiar. This gentleman here, um, and let me see. It's not gonna like jump and show me the name, and I forgot the name, and I apologize. But um, Cetrone, Mr. Cetrone, or I don't know his first name. But anyway, he a stuntman for Batman v Superman for as Batman. So anyway, moving on. It's a little shot there. There, of course, the Joker from Zack Snyder's Justice League nightmare scene at the end. And I say that because there's another nightmare scene earlier. It's just a matter of looking at it all. He's also posting, of course, for the last photograph that's coming. I'm going to scroll down here. I accidentally came out. Here we go. Here's a Superman one. Um, Pure Superman from the first release. Again, first release of Man of Steel pictures was this when he was thrown into the safe. So the picture in front of the safe. And I've got a cool little statue I have not set up yet or taken out of the box of that scene, that image. This is not exactly the first picture. This is just around that time, so it's close. But it's an amazing shot of the Man of Steel, Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman. And of course, you have again SWAT, Gotham City Police, um, showing that he's wearing something probably from what he wore in the Suicide Squad movie, or sorry, Suicide Squad that was directed by David Ayer. Again, forgive me for any of these pictures that are a little more uh, over than what I would have done. This is, of course, Carla Gugino. Um, Forgive me, whichever one that is. He does not really talk much about it, but this is from Sucker Punch, where she was in Sucker Punch. Uh, and he has a couple other, well, at least one other picture of Emily Browning, I believe it is, um, from Sucker Punch. And I don't want to talk a lot about the pictures because I'm going to get to what I'm trying to get to. And this, it wasn't this. This was, this is similar, but there was a video that was posted on his page that he said his son shot, which is amazing. It's like a commercial, but apparently is not a commercial. I mean, he makes these things, and I I assume they're not for sale though. But I don't know. Maybe he's putting that out there somewhere. And again, another Batman. This is from well, it's Tig Notaro, um, who was in uh, Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I forget. I just haven't watched it in a while. All right, and then this is Rorschach and the Owl Ship from Watchmen. So some people are posting and saying, well, he's only posting it about, you know, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Um, we say Zack Snyder's Justice League as opposed to the theatrical release of Justice League, which we frequently call Justice League from 2017, because Joss Whedon came in and has his name on it, whether or not his name is on it. But anyway, um, so anyway, going on. And I say we is most people. Okay, the vast majority, and it's a way to distinguish those things. Anyway, we've got more from the last photograph and the people there, and then another uh, Batman picture. More of Zach and his locations, and this Joe Manganiello. Uh, Now that's the way he said it, so I will say it the way he said it. Being Deathstroke. All right, and Zach, and just continuing on. I think there's one more. There we go. Henry Cavill is Superman from BVS Shot. I found the place about where this is. It was about where he had thrown Batman through the wall, and he is standing up. And in the movie, he's more hunched over. He's not standing up as straight, and that's all well and good. This is again shot on set. You know, it's probably between takes and stuff like that, getting ready for the next thing. This again, Rorschach from Watchmen, and I'm only really pointing those things out because I don't want somebody to come along and say um, that I'm claiming he's only posting certain things and stuff like that. I see these posting a whole lot. This is again Emily Browning from I think it's Browning. Let me back up. Yeah, Emily Browning, Emily Jane Browning from Sucker Punch. Which anyway, Sucker Punch to me is you have to. I don't know. It's a strange movie. It's unusual, but it is whatever it is. You know, I'm not sure how much I like it. I think the extended edition, I have a little bit more that I see in it that makes more sense. If that makes sense, this it's a little expanded. I think maybe it was before its time or something like that. I'm not sure. I think people should that claim to not like it should go back maybe and look at it. and see what they think of it right now. Again, just trying to get through scouting pictures, Iceland, and the first or the second shot in this whole thing. I'm going to be way behind. And of course, this gentleman that you just saw, uh, Stuart Martin, was in Rebel Moon. Oh, this was the first picture. Scouting in CO, like a monochrome. I'm not sure what CO is. That's what he says there, though. Anyway, going back to this, into the most recent picture. All right, and I appreciate his doing. Forgive this area of the shot over here, which has some parts. I just couldn't space it out quite right. But this is the most recent picture in his Instagram. Excuse me. The caption is My 1957 Aston Martin DB MK3. So it's the Aston Martin, right? In its natural habitat, like a monochrome. So the camera they use to take the picture. Now look at the picture. Of course, look at the car, the setting, the area, the steps, the area back here. I say back here, but if you're looking, because you can't see my mouse now, but back in behind the glass, all of that stuff. Okay, just check that out. I think some people missed this, and what I'm gonna do here, I kind of got to change this up. So let me go here and um, hmm. Sorry, I got kind of a tickle in my throat. Um. Okay, so I've got to go over to this other scene in order to change it. So let me do that and change it up for you. Not that. This. All right, there we go. And that's not helping with what you should be seeing right now. So let me click down. There we go. And I'm gonna play this. Watch this. Just watch it real quick. It's about 28 seconds. All right, you see it? This is the car. Right. This is the setting. Those are the steps. This is the area. This is the. Now it's been, I think, rearranged back in there somewhere, but behind the glass. This is the setting that you just saw. Okay. This is where it is. Okay. Um, I mean, you take that for what you want. I mean, I don't know exactly what the setting is. I don't know where this is for myself. I don't know. Anyway, keep watching because it's awesome.
I'm assuming you're Alfred.
Master Kent. You said you'd come. Now let's hope you're not too late.
All right. We are not going to watch the other stuff there. Go back to this. Okay, so anyway, the picture of the car and the garage and all that is that exact same setting where Superman comes in, and of course it's in other moments of the Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I just wanted to point that out that I haven't seen anybody else be pointing out. I looked at it the first time I saw it. I was like, I've seen that before. I have seen that shot. I know I have. and it just took me a couple of seconds, and it's like, I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I want to talk about just for a few moments because I've already spent 15 just going through some of the pictures of what's going on. What about Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse and all that? And I'm not going into all the super detail that I might do. I might come back later on and do kind of a breakdown of each movie or something like that, and kind of give you a review, if you will. I'll probably go watch through all of them before I do that. But some of these I've watched recently. Some of the DCEU movies, the D- DC Extended Universe movies, the the starting with the Man of Steel or Man of Steel, and then going on through to Aquaman 2, the Lost Kingdom, uh, or Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. We will see in just a moment because I'm not sure. But I'm a collector. Okay, I'm a collector, and with all the things that are happening now, uh, and and I probably some people will hate me for some of these things I'm going to say, but I'm a collector. You see Superman back there. I've got a Superman of Steel shirt on right now. And that is from really it's imitating John Byrne's picture of Superman in a certain position at the end of the Man of Steel run that he did in 87. Uh, 86, 87. One of those two. Either way, whatever it was. I'm a collector. You can check the channel. I have Zack Snyder's Justice League collection from the Mother Box collection. So I got all three Mother Boxes. All right. Um, it's anyway. I'm not getting into details of any of these things, but you can check it out and you can see some of the other collectible things. I've got this. This is Justice League 6 collectible trading cards. So maybe that means that there's some other from that movie. This came with one of the copies of Justice League that I got. Now this would be Justice League. I'm sure, pretty sure it was a steelbook version of it. Maybe the steelbook 3D. I didn't bring that one with me. I'm gonna make sure that goes back where it came from. And I'm gonna show you as I go through the movies uh, what I have in part because I'm not going to show you every single one of them, uh, the entire collection, all that. And I didn't even bring a few of the things. Not to worry about it. Don't worry about it. And not sure. I should have maybe moved some stuff. No, I think it's okay. But I want to talk about. But I want to focus. I want to talk about and focus on this one particular thing about it. What is the DCEU? What can we consider the DCEU? What maybe we shouldn't consider the DCEU? Okay, that's kind of where I'm at, and I'll tell the story as I go, a little bit of it, but we're not. I'm not gonna dig in and argue with anybody about it. Let's currently just kind of take the position of Tyrone Magnus, and what he has said is, um, this is his idea. And because Zack Snyder is doing these things, fans are hyped. The vast majority of the fans are excited to see these things from Zack Snyder, whether they've seen them or not seen them. And news reports are coming out about these things and saying, well, this it could mean this and it may not mean this. And there's a lot of it's full of speculation. Zack Snyder has not come out and specifically said anything. So uh so we could take it as a subtle hint if we want to. And I think we need to stop there possibly in this sense. that we don't attack people that would say, no, he doesn't mean that. I think those people should not say, no, he doesn't mean that, because they are trying to claim to know his thoughts when he has not said something else. So therefore, you know, why would you make a claim as to what you think he's saying? What he says, I agree with. Everything that he has said in his posts, I agree with completely. Everything he says is great. That last Batman shot, I was going to say, is from the area of the first shot, but it's in a clearer picture. It's in a different angle. It's not that first shot where you saw more of the Batmobile behind it. It was a little bit uh, grainy, I guess, is the official released picture was slightly softer. I guess is better terminology than grainy. Um, but there's a little bit of softness to it, instead of as sharp as it was. Um, Same idea with the movie picture of where uh, when that first, not first release, but the first picture that he put up with Batman v Superman there, and said Henry Cavill is Superman, and that's a very clear picture, and it's in a specific angle and all that. There's a clarity to it, and if you go to the movie and find that spot, it's you know it's obviously taken with a different camera, and not a shot from the movie, or still from the movie, if you will, something like that. Anyway, um, but people have talked about this, like the DCEU versus the DCU and stuff like that. So I'm saying, I'm going to take the position of Tyrone Magnus for a little bit and say, why don't you just run both beside each other? Well, to do that, too, I think you need to know what is DCEU and what is DCU. And we don't need to really have a fight about it, so this is my suggestion as to what is the DC Extended Universe and what is the DCU, the James Gunn uh, DC universe. Okay, since his main hero really is Peacemaker, then let him. I say let him have it, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. So, the DCEU started out with Man of Steel. Uh, Wonderful, amazing movie. I've got just a second copy here with the 3D version, but just spectacular movie. This is a great movie, and I'm sorry for anybody that disagrees with that or wants to argue with that. I'm not here really to debate with you, even any particular part or anything like that. I think that it is spectacular, can be defended on all fronts. So I have a copy or two um, of that. However, I do not yet have a 4K version of that, which I shall obtain at some point here. Now, uh, going from there, and the excellent start of that. Oh, look at this. Well, no, I'll bring that up in a second. Um, that 2013 came out, was amazing, profitable, was a successful film. I'm not getting into all the details or the specifics, but the studio immediately was involved in arguing, and I have theories about that. So that's why I'm going to go into theories uh, in a different video, and tell you what I believe happened exactly, and so forth. But what I think should have happened, what I think should have gone on, is they should have followed up Man of Steel while Zack Snyder did this next movie with another Man of Steel, which really could have come out a couple of years later, a year and a half or so. They could have gotten it done. They could have fast tracked it and been done with it. But they didn't. So well. But anyway, uh, Zack Snyder went into um, the next, or his follow up, and it turned into Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is the steelbook version. Sorry, on the flip it over this way, has both of the posters, front and back. So either way, is good. I set it where this side is up. That's all I can do. Suppose. Well, I don't know. There may be a way to do something with that, but I don't know what it is. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. What I'm going to say is, I also have the Ultimate Edition. Uh, the Blu-ray one, or the Steelbook is an Ultimate Edition one. Now the 4K Ultimate Edition one, and I have to go back to look at some of these things, but the 4K Ultimate Edition is a little bit extra Ultimate Edition. It actually enhances the uh, aspect ratio in various places and goes to IMAX version or something similar to Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So anyway, that's uh, that's the next movie. And again, I think masterpieces. All right, and those are definitely in the DCEU. Now, here's going to be the first controversial one, is Suicide Squad. I have 3D version. I also have this is extended and regular cut. But anyway, it's the extended edition is a little bit better. There's a few little scenes that flesh out some stuff and make a little bit more sense, if you will. Okay, they they do a little better with it, or rather, it's just a little bit improved. Okay, but if you're very familiar with this situation, you know that there is what's called the David Ayers cut, or David Ayers Suicide Squad release. The Ayer cut is the hashtag, along with Restore the Snyderverse and sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix and a variety of other hashtags that are out there. I'm not recommending necessarily any particular one. If you want to do any of those, go right ahead. I do want to complete this in a reasonable time though. But Suicide Squad, I didn't have as much problem with it as other people did because I'm not a huge backstory fan of Suicide Squad. Um, I I have confidence that David Ayer's Suicide Squad is a great deal better than what we got because of the stories that were about how the studio interfered with with David Ayer's Suicide Squad and had it recut pretty much last minute, and how they did it. And just seeing again the extended cut, which just has some extra scenes to flesh certain things out, I say, yeah, I mean that was improved. And if you're going to tell me that you're going to give me more and a fuller version of the Joker that's in this, which whoever wants to claim that it's no good or whatever, I'm not going to argue with you about it. It was fine to me because I wasn't trying to get the animated series version onto the big screen somehow. And that seems to be a lot of people's argument that that should be what the Joker is. While they love Heath Ledger's Joker, which is not, it's not that. I love Heath Ledger's Joker. I thought it was an appropriate Joker. I also love Jack Nicholson's Joker, and growing up with that, that was kind of my definitive version of how the Joker would behave. Was the way that Jack Nicholson played the character, um, even though it was a little bit different, you know, slightly behavior in the comics. But I didn't read a whole lot of the Batman comics to do that. So my brother would have more debate about that than I would, and I don't know what he thinks about Jared Leto's uh, Joker. Not yet, anyway. I haven't talked to him recently about it. And next thing we got though, after the Suicide Squad, after Suicide Squad, because we gotta get this going on. DCU, we've got that. What we need though to have proper DCU is David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, so we can see what it is. And the studio has got to learn to quit interfering with things that are good. We know that Zack Snyder's Justice League is far superior to what the studio tried to get out. Okay? What you got from Justice League 2017 from Joss Whedon and the studio, Walter Hamada and Jeff Johns and others, that comes from people not understanding, not getting it, not having even the slightest sense of what the fans would enjoy. I don't. I it kind of baffles my mind with Justice League, and they thought that that would be good compared to what we ultimately got a few years later. 4 short years later, three, 4 short years later, right? Um, 2021. With Zack Snyder's Justice League. We'll get to that in a second. Again, forgive me. Not feeling 100%. Whew. All right. So, anyway, to get what we need though, to really get the story full, we need the Ayer cut. I'm going to push that further later with these comments, but we'll get into that. Next year we got Wonder Woman, right? I got I don't know how many cards are in here because again I've never opened it up or anything like that, and I can't really see it. It doesn't say on the front. So anyway, character cards, I suppose. Uh, I'm not going to worry about it though. But that leads us into the Wonder Woman movie with Gal Gadot, and all the backlash and the arguments and the hollering about Gal Gadot, she can't be Wonder Woman, and lo and behold, it turns out Zack Snyder did a fantastic job with the casting of Wonder Woman. Now, I could have said that when I was talking about Batman v Superman, because that's when that happened. But people do love this movie. And I heard somebody say that this movie made more money than Batman v Superman. It didn't gross more, but possibly made more. Okay, so we get into the real details of box office and stuff like that. Anyway, this got 3D in it and all that. I love those 3Ds. They quit making those 3Ds. This has a book included in it, a little booklet. So all kinds. I'm a collector. I've got other copies of this. Okay. Um, and like I said, comes with those cards, and sit on those cards for a while and maybe never look at them. I don't know. Um, but we go from there after Wonder Woman was released, and you get the backstory of Wonder Woman and leading up to uh, back to the modern age, even though there possibly could have been something else about it. Uh, we get then Justice League, or Justice League as it is affectionately known. I got a 3D version, I got a steelbook version. I've got several copies of this, and I've watched it a number of times. Because when I watched it first time, that's all we knew was going to come out. We didn't know that we were going to get anything else. And I watched it and tried to give it its the fairest shake I could, and said I can see where Zach was going with some of these things. And how in the world did they think this was better? How did they think that this was an improvement? It really is kind of shocking. But then I tried to say, well, if if this is all that we're going to get, I'm going to enjoy it the most I can. Where can they go from here? Let Henry Cavill and whoever he's going to company with and partner with, because it wasn't going to be Zack Snyder at the time. Let him, with the people that he's dealing with, make the next, make Superman, make Man of Steel, make Man of Tomorrow, whatever it is, Man of Steel 2, the sequel. Let him follow it up. Let him start building that and fleshing out that story. That's that's the idea. That's where uh, it should have gone at that point if they wanted to do anything. I think to get into conspiracies, they were showing their hand that they did not like Henry Cavill in so many ways. I I'm it gets too far into theories to say something like they sabotaged the movie because you saw there were so many shots that were, and I tried to give the benefit of the doubt to these shots, many of them, but there were so many shots that were just like, that's not good. That is not a good image. I mean, the opening scene, of course, is like that is not good imagery, and they're sitting there saying they're yeah, and there were example after example of people that did on their own special effects shots where they manipulated the mouth properly and made it look better than it was. But for some reason, these studios believe they can put out garbage, and we just gonna take it as consumers. And I think maybe they're learning something different, but they keep going broke because of this stuff. But I'll start with this, okay? Through Wonder Woman, every one of those movies was making money for WB. Justice League lost money, partly because of reshoots, but otherwise just because it flopped in the theater. Okay? Then we finally, and I'm going to say this, 4 years later, we got what we should have got in the first place. Okay? Maybe we couldn't do it at the time. Maybe it was not possible to get this at the time. It would have been different than what we got. But maybe it would have been different and we would have gotten a follow up from that. Okay? Now, Zack Snyder kicked around ideas, and those are not my theories, okay? But anyway, this is amazing. 4 hours of spectacular cinema. Just beautiful in so many ways. And of course, I have this copy of this and several others of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I gave out a number of copies of that because I believe people needed to see this as opposed to, you know, Justice League. Now, leaving that though. After Justice League, so Justice League is what we have that's DCEU. Justice League is an aberration. Of course, Wonder Woman is in the DCEU. We're still waiting for David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and we can get rid of Suicide Squad when we get that, and just stay with what is DCEU. Anyway, we have it with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Justice League again, aberration, something off to the side. Um, put it to the side and look at it from time to time, and film schools are going to study these kind of things and what happened in those years. In fact, you can't really see it. Are they up there? I can't. You can't really tell, but I got to point in the right direction. These are books about the Snyder cut of Justice League. Um, there's about four of them up there. Anyway, uh, but yeah, it's being documented, and film students in the future will study that kind of thing. Next one in the DCEU are the highest grossing in the DCEU, in spite of Justice League. Because I think people realize Justice League is an aberration. It is what the studio wanted to make, but they let this happen with Aquaman. Okay, they let them do what they wanted to do. There's some little there's a little minor one or two lines that are like that's not the same continuity. Well, maybe there's another cut of this that kind of clarifies that. I don't know, or commentary that could do it. But anyway, Blu-ray, 3D, digital, and all that. It's just pretty cool. I really enjoy this movie. Watched it quite a number of times. I'm not going to give you a particular number. I will say I watched Man of Steel more than the rest of them combined, um, because I do revisit Man of Steel quite a bit. Have revisited and do still revisit. Anyway, um, as far as Aquaman is concerned, I don't know that any mistakes were made for the release of it or anything like that. It was just simply fantastic. Well done, well thought out. Um, like I said, there's just a line or two that I would be like, wait a minute, that's kind of contradictory to um, Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? And the history of Aquaman and Mirror. But I think that it can be explained. I think that there's a theory around it. But again, I'm not going to deal with it. There's not enough to say, well, we could just throw that out and or anything like that, or we have to because it doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now we're going to get into some of the more controversial things in a little bit that I had to get into theory about. So then we go to Shazam. I've got 3D. I've got the regular one. I would have gotten more, but I don't. I think that was all that I've gotten. Probably will get 4K sometime. I need to get my 4K or 8K TV and all that stuff to really be able to watch it and things like that. Anyway, Shazam. This I think is extremely good. And I think that the um, it plays well. The actors are great, all of them. I think it's really good, and I think that it's underappreciated greatly. I think that the studio made a big mistake by not releasing this as a Christmas movie because it's set in the Christmas time in the beginning and then continues on with Christmas time uh, later on in the film. So, it would have made a lot of sense to say, this is Christmas. This is a Christmas movie. Beautiful movie. Got a lot of feeling to it. It's a great story. Uh, and like I said, the acting is spectacular. It is DCEU. It's set in the DCEU. The the controversial part for me is that it should have been released at Christmas time or somewhere around Christmas. Start out with the Christmas music, like in the first scene, and and kind of get people ready to go, and then people would have gone and watched it and really enjoyed it. I think that they thought the competition would have been too much. That or they had to do something else, and I think they might have delayed it. But yeah, that was a big mistake on the studio part that they would do that. And anyway, um, and of course it came out after Aquaman. If you watch the end credit scene for this, and of course the studio's pushing for end credit scenes since Suicide Squad. So, so they started doing that variety of. I don't think Wonder Woman had one. So, uh, whether it did or not, I'm not jumping at it. But Justice League did. Justice League doesn't. Zack Snyder's Justice League does not have end credit scenes, but it has enough um, lead up and things that could be followed up on that really it ought to do that. So let's go on. Going to the next movie in the series is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. All right, so I got the Blu-ray, all that. I don't think I have any other kind of copies of this. This is not a super impressive movie. What they wanted to do with this, it's kind of ridiculous. They turned it into an R movie. Everything else that you have, uh, Zack Snyder's Justice League is rated R because actually, well, possibly because of the violence, but then m- maybe more because in Batman v Superman is also rated R. And again, such sequences of violence is the reason for the R rating. Okay, and that's really going to be the discretion of a parent as to whether or not their children can watch that, because it does have a darkness to it that um, Superman dies at the end of. If you don't know, I'm sorry, but anyway, it does have that kind of darkness to it. But it it's not the reason that they did this one R. This one is R because of some graphic language, strong language, and the strong violence is is worse than uh, arguably what you get in these other films. Okay, um, there can be some bloodshed in it that makes a little bit of sense, but this went very dark and gangsterish. Now, if you're gonna do that, that may be okay, but they were doing it, over the top, and they were doing it over the top and uh, trying to do a sort of, and I'm sorry, this is the way I take it, trying to do a sort of Deadpool version of the DCU. They saw Deadpool make a lot of money being rated R, and they were like, "We gotta get in on that." And no, I'm sorry, but there was no reason to do that. And I did rewatch this not too long ago. It's not terrible. I think the acting is fairly good. Some of it's not that great. Some of the choices that are made in it, I think, are the wrong choices. Um, and of course, they were trying to put a lot of goof into this, uh, and you can see that yourself if you watch it. But if you watch the character of Harley Quinn uh, in the way that it's played in this movie, you'll notice something that I'll get into in just a little bit. But it very much fits in the DCEU tone as far as the character of Harley Quinn herself, but they were trying to do some things that they shouldn't have tried to do. Um, and I'm not as big of a comic reader of that area, so Roman, I don't know as much about, or whether or not he is like that in the comic books or not. So, you know, excuse me, that's my disconnect. Is probably mostly that. Now, like I said, a lot of it's pretty good. There's a lot of good little action pieces and set pieces and stuff. There's cool shots and things like that. There's some neat dialogue, and there's a story being told with Harley Quinn. Now, really, it should have just been Harley Quinn's movie, and somehow spoke about that Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Because there was a lot going on that theoretically goes into this. Again, goes back to me talking about theories if I wanted to, and why it, but it didn't make much money. Now, according to my calculations, it did make a little bit though. All right, so it was not a complete bomb, but it was a lackluster for sure. And they could have cut out mostly the foul language and some of the gruesome um, gore, but especially Roman's, over the top foul language is the vast majority of it. They could have cut all that out and that gruesome, again, the gruesome gore, and it would have worked better. I believe making it PG-13 would have opened up the audience for people that were going to go and watch that. Suicide Squad. I do not think that Suicide Squad. Yeah, it's PG-13. It's not rated R. Maybe David Ayer's Suicide Squad is rated R. I don't know. But anyway, that's where people were introduced to Harley Quinn, and lots of young girls, whether it's a good role model or not, in ways, then took to Harley Quinn, and yeah, the the getting too much into theories. I'm not going to keep doing that. So next DCEU film is Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984. Of course, I got a 3D version of it. I tried several times to get the steelbook version, but they kept telling me that it was like $30. They had 50 of them there, and we're trying to get rid of them, and they wouldn't sell me one for a discount. It was kind of crazy. Anyway, regardless, Wonder Woman 84 has its haters, has its has some defenders. I'll defend it in the sense that when I watched it and I said, I get it. I understand the first one, you know, only love can change the world. And this one um, is about truth. And ultimately, it took a certain route to get there that is the arguable part. Okay. But it made sense to me. I saw it and it made sense, and then other people were like, "Why did that happen?" I said, "Well, this is what happened," and they said, "That's stupid." I think, "Well, I don't know. It's the lasso of truth. But anyway, so that was about truth, and then the third one was supposed to be about what is it? Love, truth, and something else. I'm sorry, because like I said, I didn't collect all Wonder Woman comic books and know everything about that. So anyway, I'm gonna get into the next with the controversy. This is where we really get in the controversy. We're gonna go back and forth with this. That's definitely DCEU though. Even if you hate it, I mean, to me, it was fairly neat, fairly good. It told its story, and I connected all the dots, and I thought, well, that makes that to me is pretty good, you know. Um, and I've yet to find anybody that said uh, more than they just hate it. Um, and I'll have to watch some videos or something, reviews of Wonder Woman 84 to try to catch up with that kind of thing. Maybe give my review of it. You know, I'll rewatch it before I do it. But anyway, next movie, The Suicide Squad, the different Suicide Squad. You see the lenticular, of course. Um, Great job acting and doing the part of King Shark. It's King Shark, right? Yep, King Shark. You got Harley Quinn in this. You got a Polka Dot Man. You got a Rick Flag Jr. Right, and you have the Rat Catcher, Rat Bloodsport, Peacemaker. Um, yeah, Star of the Conqueror, Colonel Rick Flag. Um, oh, it says and others. So anyway, and then you got all the people. I don't know if you can really tell in the background, all the dead ones in the back. They killed off the original Suicide Squad. Most of them keep Harley Quinn because she's so popular. Bring in Peacemaker. Now, based on what I believe and how I'm going to stand for this, I'm going to show you the other artwork for it. All right. The Suicide Squad, to me, is DCU. All right. And I'll tell you why it's DCU. Because James Gunn said so. Well, in a roundabout way. James Gunn came out and re-edited season two. In season two, he re-edited the end of season one of Peacemaker. So Peacemaker, he put squarely into the DCU, the DCU world. He pushed him over into it and said, "That's it." So to me, this is the beginning of your DCU. It is an alternate universe, and that is what it is. It's got Peacemaker in it, and it's got a. You go check it out. You go check out Margot Kidder, not Margot Kidder, Margot Robbie, um, and her way of playing, and the version of Harley Quinn. It is not the same as Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. She does not portray the character the same way. The character is presented in a different fashion. So you go check it out. You go look at it. I'm just saying it is different. And I noticed the difference when I rewatched those two movies recently. I was like, wow, that's interesting. So to me, alternate universe. It's a different thing. James Gunn can have it. It is James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Okay? This is James Gunn, The Suicide Squad. A James Gunn film, right? You see it right there, right? So, uh, I'll let him have it. I don't mind. People trying to say all the time, there's so many people that will jump up and say, oh, it's so much better than David Ayers. No, it's not. You haven't even seen David Ayers, really. But besides that, it's not better than the other one either. Okay, so uh, you can try to argue that all you want to, but I don't think you're going to win that argument. And definitely not against me, but I'm going to say it's a different character. Now, James Gunn, I think, needs to take that and accept that that's his, you know, universe that he created. And again, since he took Peacemaker and said we're going to retcon Peacemaker season one to say he's in the DCU and bring the, you know, Superman from David Cornsweet, Super Girl, um, uh, Millie Alcott, I think it is, and the Justice Gang into uh, into Peacemaker season two, and say, but retconning it again, retconning that last part where they had Zack Snyder's version of characters, and they changed it over to DCU characters from James Gunn. He can, like I said, he can have them. I'm fine with him taking Peacemaker. He can take Peacemaker. I don't want Peacemaker to be in the DCU at all. Not that version of Peacemaker, anyway. Maybe a comic accurate version, but not that one. In Suicide Squad, I don't think this was a good comic accurate version. Uh, the Suicide Squad. I don't think it was that great. Um, there are some characters that I like in it. I can like some characters, and I can like some parts of the story and stuff like that, and 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 enjoy uh, some aspects of the nostalgia of it, like the characters, the starfish character, and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean it needs to be in the DCEU, and I don't think it should be there. So I would exclude that from the DCEU and let James Gunn do what he will with it. Okay, or you can call it an aberration yourself, also. Um, I don't think that season one of Peacemaker belongs as part of the DCU. And we'll come to the next debatable thing in a moment, but I have it in just a second. Next is Black Adam. Black Adam, and this is the 4K Blu-ray and all that, was very good to me, and whether you liked it or not, I enjoyed it. It was serviceable. It was good. I assume it's not going to the characters not coming back, or maybe some of them will, and not Black Adam himself. Um, However, I think he could. So it's a possibility, but I don't see it happening. Right? Although he could, but great thing that he did. in my opinion. Uh, and I'm talking about Dwayne Johnson, was pressuring and getting Henry Cavill back. And just even a cameo, there was so much eh, enjoyment in that. And in the days that followed, where Henry Cavill said, I'm back, we're going to make it. Finally, we're going to have a sequel, proper sequel to Man of Steel. We're going to have Man of Steel 2, or whatever it was, Man of Tomorrow, or any other. And of course, shortly after that, and we'll get into that question sometime later, he met with James Gunn, and then he came out and announced that he was not going to be Superman. And I'll go into the details as to why, and not today, but another time, because people are misconstruing it and they're believing whatever is being told to them by some people that weren't there, to say the least, and um, believing things that have been said by people that haven't gotten their story straight, actually. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, though. Next thing is, and we're talking about DCEU or DCU, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I could say it's okay. I kind of enjoyed it. I understood a lot of it. It was pretty cool. A lot of things that were in it. There's a lot of heartfelt moments. I mean, there's a lot of good in this movie. And the most excellent thing of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman being at the end was fantastic. You can say what you want about it, and dislike it if you want to, and say there's whatever reasons you have for hating the ending and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to watch it again and watch it with commentary and stuff like that. But I actually enjoyed the film a good deal. Okay, I enjoyed it a lot. However, I would say it can be classed as either one. It can be classed as one, the DCEU, but the suits were changed in such a drastic way. But that happens, right? It happens from time to time. I don't mind that part. The um the character, and therefore the actor for the Shazam version of Mary, uh, was changed, and it was just Mary, the actress, because she's old enough to do both parts and play the part well. And you can see her back there in the middle, and that's all well and good. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's okay. I'm fine with it. But when it flashes back to him breaking the staff, what happens when he does that? Uh, it flashes back to him breaking the staff. Is they reshot it? They didn't just use the original movie and show that snap and all the original, you know, actors, the which are all the same except Mary. And in the old suits, they updated the suits. They updated the entire shot. They reshot it for the film, uh, just to make the scene. So I could say, oh, that's kind of an alternate universe. Um, they could easily change that by releasing a version that, uh, you know, has that shot from the original Shazam, and then I'll be like, okay, DCEU, no problem at all. Um, but again, one little minor thing is goes down as like in film history as these creative choices and stuff like that. But I could do that either way, and there was supposed to be a different end credit scene. It was reshot to pull in the Peacemaker crowd, um, and you know what I mean at the end scene. And however, they're referencing the Justice Society, which is from Black Adam. So I don't know that the DCU wants that, but I wouldn't mind taking it up with the DCEU. Those are just some random, people that are connected with it. But if it were me, and this is my I'm going a little bit long, but I'm trying to do this right. I would have this recut and do the DCEU version of it, the kind of a director's cut, and go to the other shots that they were going to include, the other in credit scenes or the other post credits and stuff like that. And you can think about that a little bit. There's a little bit of debate about that, but we heard about it at the time. And I'll give you a hint. Of course, Henry Cavill was supposed to be involved. So, be that as it may, you know. Now, let me take you to the next one, and we'll be done with this pretty shortly. The next is The Flash. Now, this is a difficult one. This is called the Icon Edition, 4K, Blu-ray, and all this, and it kind of folds out, and I think this is pretty cool. Pretty cool little interior shots. Let's go ahead and show you the whole thing. So, there you go. All right. Um, I think there's a lot of neat shots in here. There's some unusual camera angles and things like that. But it's amazing how many people absolutely hate, the flashes, uh, shots and angles and stuff like this that and pullbacks and various things that are they hate it. Absolutely hate this. And then they love this new Superman from James Gunn, which has a whole lot, and I believe the same cinematographer, if I'm not mistaken, but a whole lot of similar shots and similar ways um, of showing some angles in action. Um, whatever you think, you know. I believe that there's a director's cut version of this as well. Should have Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill in it as Superman. Now I believe. Now you can, go still as much as you can and try to zoom in and everything else. That Henry Cavill is still in this movie. He's barely in the shot, but he's running up to the car. I believe that's Henry Cavill in a suit. Maybe not. Maybe not, because I've never seen the end credit scene that was shot for this with Henry Cavill, and they had Bruce Lee. But instead, you got George Clooney showing up, and you got a tooth falling out of his face and stuff like the Flash's face. This is crazy. So there's this version, I would say, could easily fit into the DCU because it could be parallel with Shazam and parallel with the time of the Suicide Squad and stuff like that. And the alteration could bring in the Suicide Squad and turn everything into the DCU. So they could have the Suicide Squad, this version of Shazam, and this version of Flash, and just lead right into the DCU. It flopped so terribly, pop in great part because of James Gunn's interference and his way of doing things and changing things in the film. Uh, it was his choice, and going on from there, we have got our second to last film here, Blue Beetle. Of course, this is This is a steelbook version of it. I think this is the only version I have, steelbook, which is all well and fine. Blue Beetle, arguably the biggest flop that DC had to that point. I don't see why this has to be in the DCEU. There's nothing in it that makes it, part of the universe that Zack Snyder started, that Henry Cavill is in, or anything like that. There's a mention of Batman, and it says Batman is a fascist. Come on. first of all, I don't think you know what the meaning of the word fascist is if you believe that in some way Batman's a fascist. Um, so anyway, uh, I happen to somewhat enjoy this. You know, as far as a film, mostly fun, the action of it and the behavior and the character acting of most of the actors, it it wronged itself in a couple of different places, and I won't even get into that. It's just where they basically tried to get into the politics of things, and without explanation, threw up there some off the wall stuff. It just shouldn't have been there. But I mean, like I said, the vast majority is fine and serviceable. It shouldn't have cost as much as it did to do that, and we can see that for certain reasons. But it would have had to make more money, and the reason why it didn't, I think, is simply because James Gunn wanted to go ahead and let it get out and be DCU, DCEU, while he claims the character for his own universe. So he claims the character for his own universe. I say, let him have the movie. And he really should have held on to the movie. Said, we're going to hold on, we're going to delay it. We're going to make a few little changes here and there to fit it into my, Peacemaker, Lanterns, and new Superman and stuff like that movie, new version. Starting with Suicide Squad and some version of the Flash here and all that. Um, or as a movie in itself, I mean it's nebulous for it. It could be in the DCEU, and just be one of those little minor films that barely anyone talks about. Um, we're just not revisiting the movie. That's all there is to it. Uh, you know. Anyway, I'm not trying to, um, down the movie so much, which I seem to be doing. But if he had taken it and pulled it to his own heart and said, we're going to hold on to this and make it part of the DCU, because he was already in charge. And he could have said, no, Blue Beetle is not part of your DCEU universe. We're going to make some changes, even if you never changed anything, and we'll put it right into the DCU uh, right after Superman comes out. That way, he would have had, or he could have done it after, you know, this next movie, and said, "This is the beginning of our DCU," and it's just kind of telling you what's going on in the meanwhile while we're waiting for Superman to show up in his own um, movie here. Okay, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of like either way with that. It doesn't really matter. Again, I'm a collector. I'll probably watch the movie again because I enjoy a lot of the action scenes and the special effects. There's a lot of cool stuff in that to me. However, last movie on the in the DCEU side is this, and again, this isn't really what it ought to be. And this is the Steelbook, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And I saw this and I was like, I can see a lot of things. I can see reshoots. I can see changes that were made. I can see all kinds of stuff that are in this film. All kinds of bad mistakes that were being made. Um, and it's painfully obvious, you know. So anyway, it's a pretty cool little steelbook though. Nice back art there to it. Um, but when you say, I don't know, this artwork, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, um, why is, you know, why are they in the frozen area? Uh, I mean, yeah, I kind of get it. I understand. Anyway, there's a lost kingdom that's known about, right? Anyway, uh, going on from there, I get it. I understand. And I need to go revisit the movie, but I don't particularly enjoy the movie because there was supposed to be Ben Affleck in the movie. I think there was at one time a rumor. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but you can tell me later. There was rumored to be Henry Cavill making an appearance as well. So if all that is true, there's a different version of this movie. I know there's a different version of this movie because it was reshot and it was changed, and some cameos were taken out because they said, well, we're not going to continue that that series of films, so therefore, so we could get a director's cut version of that and see what it was really supposed to be and what the continuation idea was going to be, because all that was kind of going on with Henry Cavill, and he did that before he was pulled back from it. Because Black Adam came out, and he was going to have several cameos, and they were shot, and they are out there somewhere, and they should be released. We should all be able to see what they were, and they could tie into all this that's going on. Again, I said earlier, I would take like Tyrone Magnus's position right now and say, uh, I would love to see, because of what Zack Snyder's doing behind the scenes, sort of, or suggesting possibly and stuff like that, and the hype is coming out that maybe the Snyderverse is coming back. We're gonna hopefully see Zack Snyder, Zack Snyder's Justice League parts 2 and 3, or at least a part 2. It can be a 4 or 5 hour movie, and I would watch it. Um, to get the rest of the story, the way he was going to tell it, or a way that he was going to tell it, or an adjusted way that it could be told, so that we finally have a version of Snyder's vision completed and out there. And it could be done a lot of ways, but we're going to stick with just if he comes back to complete his stuff. Tyron Magnus suggested let them both go together. Let James Gunn just continue doing what he's doing, as long as it's sustainable, I suppose. And let Zack Snyder come back and do his films, and fans have no problem doing it side by side. In fact, fans have less a problem with James Gunn's universe being there and Zack Snyder's universe being continued than they would if the studio said, "No, we're not going to have Zack Snyder's universe. We're going to keep doing James Gunn's universe." You're going to hear an outcry against that. There'll be a few people that are outcrying and saying, "No, we need to get rid of James Gunn and just have Zack Snyder or something like that." Well, um, they probably would be okay with Matt Reeves continuing with the Batman 2 and Penguin series, season 2, and stuff like that. So there's going to be less of that than there would be outcry the other way, because there's a huge outcry already. All right. And that's just the way it is. Uh, and that's the facts of the matter. However, if we say that, so we're giving this option, and really, it's not like we're dictating. We are saying to the studio that we're interested in Zack Snyder's universe and it getting completed, and it getting completed right. The way to do it right would be to go back and say, okay, this movie here needs to have an edit to it. This movie here needs an extended cut or a director's cut. That is only for first, David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Release the Ayer cut. It's sitting there almost ready. It could be done in a few months, probably, easily, uh, and not too much cost, and then it will make money because it's already guaranteed that it's going to sell to a multitude of people. Just find out whoever says release the Ayer cut, and if you release it in Blu-ray and 4K in a steelbook version and a maybe a couple of collectibles. You're going to sell 3 of them to every one of those people. Maybe one to a few of them. But anyway, the vast majority are going to buy multiple copies. So if you could count how many hashtag release the air cut there are uh, being put out there, if you could figure it out, then you know your sales for your Blu-rays and DVDs. And if you release it in theaters, that would be amazing. Just release this whole thing again. Then do a um, director's cut of Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Reinsert what needs to be there. Just put it out on a Blu-ray. Just a special edition Shazam: Fury of the Gods with a director's cut. You're gonna make money. And then the Flash. You can do that director's cut. Now there might be a lot more in there than that would need to be changed. And then do Aquaman, a director's cut. You got 3 movies need a director's cut, and the David Ayers uh, Suicide Squad. So the Ayer cut, release the Ayer cut, and then do 3 director's cuts. And then we have our DCEU leading into whatever Zack Snyder would be doing, following up, and whatever Henry Cavill was going to do in his follow up that he was planning with others. Let him do what he's going to do. We're talking about also Batman with Ben Affleck, him with Deathstroke alongside. All right, and there's another movie. There's like one other that I can't think of right now. That's the idea. And forgive me, I'm kind of at the end of my day for now. So, yeah, I mean, come on. You could easily cobble together 3 director's cuts. Bring the directors back. Um, who directed this? Is it James Wan? Yeah, James Wan film. Yeah, let James Wan come back and say, what do you want to do, James Wan? Do you want to fix this director's cut? Then identify these other movies as being, like I said, The Suicide Squad, and Blue Beetle, I believe, and the theatrical cut of Shazam: Fury of the Gods and Flash and Aquaman, if you want to. You can have all those, and then we'll take the DCEU can split off and take the other, and we can run them on parallel uh, train tracks, and watch what happens. That's again Tyrone Magnus' suggestion. I'm okay with it, sort of. And I mean, if you want to boil it down, where I am, James Gunn's movies and shows have not succeeded, have not accomplished what they needed to do, and are not doing well with the audience. The vast majority of the audience, they're not drawing enough of the audience. Uh, I watched Superman more than most of the people that claim to enjoy it a lot. Okay, I watched it more times than most of them did, um, and I have it on Blu-ray and digital. So um, I know about the movie plenty, and familiar with it. I'm not planning on. I watched the vast majority of season 1 of Peacemaker and was not impressed by it, and there were just things in it that I had to turn off, turn away, and say that's not something I want to see. Okay, and there would be things in season 2 that I don't want to see, so I'm not going to subject myself to it. I've just chosen to say he's not part of the universe because of what James Gunn has chosen. So if it were directly up to me, I would say he hasn't succeeded. Let him go, and stop most of the projects that are going on. Uh, Supergirl is on the way. I don't know what the reshoots are necessarily about, and I'm not going to try to theorize about them right now. But we'll see whatever happens with that in another 7, 8 months. Comes out in June, right, of next year, the latter part of June. And so we have, you know, uh, six, 6 months, 7.5, 7 months and a week and a half or something like that. All right, so all that being done, I, hmm, I told you I'm a collector. But I also enjoy most of these DCU films. I enjoy most of them. And if I showed you what the rest of the movies that I have, then it's almost all of them. Okay, there's DCU stuff that I don't have because there's just too much of it. uh, You know, but I have seasons of things. I have Superman and Lois. I have Lois and Clark. Um, I haven't been able to get the Superboy series yet. I have, of course, Smallville in two or three editions of it, or most of it in one way, and then some complete sets. Love Smallville. I love uh, so many uh, different films, and I'm going to be too long if I try to talk about all those things. So it's not about that. And I've expressed in other videos kind of what I feel about the DCU universe. Uh, I'm more getting to this idea. I'm fine. If the idea would be the only way that this would happen is that Zack Snyder's universe could be restored, brought back, completed, and continued, and then continued, and assuming that it succeeds, which it's going to. Uh, do this, but it really should be done by fixing three three films in this past DCEU. All right, and correcting them to what they were going to be. That's really all. Correcting to what they were going to be, and then enjoying what is to come. Now I would say there should be a cyborg movie. All right, I believe that. I think that that should happen. And I think that that would be very successful. I'm not the biggest fan of Ray Fisher, but I love him as Cyborg, and I enjoyed him in Rebel Moon, and that's about all I've seen him in. Which he hasn't been in a whole lot because of the politics of the movie world. And again, not gonna dive into all of that, and going to finish this up before an hour and 30 minutes. So that's my position. That's my way of doing it. Would be to do a director's cut and bring these other movies into line with the vision that was there. What was going to happen? And they really should have done that in the first place. That we're going to finish this out, but it's just going to be like your Zack Snyder's Justice League, where there's going to be kind of leftover stuff to do, but we're not going to finish it for you. We're not going to let you continue the universe, but we'll let you see the way that these movies end and what you could have enjoyed had we continued. You know what I'm saying? We had already experienced that with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and there were a lot of people that were like, we possibly can live with that. Um, the problem is that what happened afterwards, almost immediately after Zack Snyder's Justice League, was like, this is not good. And then Black Adam, when it came out, and Superman, Henry Cavill came back, it was like, there we go. That's what we want. This is the direction we got to head. And I said it at the time. This is where they need to go, and this is the direction that they need to go. I talked about it way back then, probably on Facebook, but uh, laid some stuff out, and it was like I had the vision, and I could see what was going to happen, what was able to happen. And it would have been great. But we have what we have now. But we also have the hope that we are seeing of a possibility. And what we want is that possibility to be fulfilled. We'll see you later. Bye.